It's always weird interviewing people that, one, that you're a fan of, and then two, that you're trying to encapsulate a bit of their whole career into 50 minutes.
Right.
So just follow me.
I'm with you.
And let's see where we go.
I'm with you, Padawan.
Because you wrote a book, and first of all, I know the struggle of writing a book, and I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing when I wrote my first book.
Neither did I.
And it's kind of how I've done everything. Is wasn't really scared to do it, but once I got in it, I was like, I wish I'd have been scared to do this, because holy crap.
Yeah, it's a whole new world and a discipline. And what I've kind of did, I wrote a book in 2001. I finished a book, and I started having it edited. It was pure fiction, and then The Hangover came out, and it was so much better than my book. So I got kind of discouraged.
Was it similar?
Yeah, it was about guys and a bachelor party gone wrong. But this went in Tampa. This was in Tampa, but theirs was Vegas. It was much. And there was no Zach Galifianakis character, no baby, no sunglasses. So I was like, God damn it, and I shelved it. But what I did with that book is I read a lot, so I have books. I'm like, I'm just gonna use this shape, this form, and I kind of did it with this book too. I was like, there's just with songwriting, a lot of times you're like, I love that song. I love how they build it, that construction. I'm just going to emulate that structure. And I did that writing the book. It helped me.
So fiction, Jake Stark, not a real person.
Not a real person.
But I mean,
he's all of us.
But it's you.
You can't help but be.
Let me walk through some stuff, and you just tell me what the analogy is with you, the parallel with you.
Yeah.
Because some of it really just screamed Kevin to me.
It does, doesn't it?
Number one. Hit songwriter Jake Stark, who'd had a respectable career as a recording artist in the early 1990s. Okay, so, I mean, this is right on the nose.
Oh, yeah. No,
right.
okay. Purposely,
Okay,
for sure.
just making sure. So let's just take that point and kind of dive into it a little bit. Better Than Ezra, your band, obviously, that I was a massive fan of. I went to so many shows in high school and even into college because you guys were not only big nationally, but I'm from Arkansas, so regionally,
dude,
you were everywhere.
We're SEC brothers.
Yes, so
you're a hog. I'm a tiger.
I'd see you in Fayetteville. I'd see you in Little Rock.
Did you ever see us in JR's Light Bulb Club?
Yes.
Oh my!
I'd see you in Shreveport. And so, to me, when you guys were just the biggest, coolest thing, I was already like, I don't know. I've been a fan of them already since I was like 9.
It's amazing.
And because you didn't. Better Than Ezra wasn't your move to LA, was it?
Well, Ezra was already, a band. We got together my junior year at LSU, and we were playing like frat parties in all the SEC schools. And then after a year after I graduated in 1990, we kind of took a hiatus. We were a 4-piece, and one of the members died in the band, a good friend. And I was like, wow, I need a break. And I lived in Aspen for a year. I was an après-ski guy.
No music.
I was playing music, but I was playing covers. Yeah, Ezra. We took a hiatus, and then I moved out to L.A., and I was living in West Hollywood. And somebody, the old bar in Baton Rouge, said, "Hey, would you guys want to come back and play a show?" And 6 months had gone by since the death of our band member. And after 6 months, I was like, "Let's try it." And we suddenly became a 3-piece. And so that's so L.A. And then I was like, guys, I'm living in L.A. And they all moved out to L.A. and we were valets and bartenders, and we made that first album for $5,000 in an apartment on South Florida Street in West Hollywood.
Did you guys all move back southeast?
Yeah, so we made the record, did everything ourselves, and we were like, okay, we don't want to be another L.A. band. We have this great fan base and following in the southeast. And we moved back. We moved to Baton Rouge for about 6 months, and then we moved to the Garden District in New Orleans. And then we were putting our albums in every record store in the Southeast and going by WUMS at Oxford, Mississippi, and in Tuscaloosa and Athens, Georgia, really just like hawking it. And that's when it kind of changed for us.
Did you guys have a first single when you were, or what was the first single that really wasn't a record company putting out a single?
The first song that ever got interest other than our REM covers was a song called CDU. And CDU back in the day stood for Chemical Dependency Unit. And it was this really great rock song. And it was the first real rock song we did that didn't sound like REM. And that was the first song as a songwriter that people were like, hey man, what was that song? Blah, 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 CDU. I was like, well, that's one of ours. And that was like the aha moment. It was like, I need to write more like that. And that was a cassette. It was our first cassette called Surprise, and we would go to, college stations and they would play that cassette. And then in 1991 was when I wrote Good, and we started playing Good. And in the whole wah-ah thing was supposed to be a lyric, but we played. Did you ever go to W.C. Don's in Jackson, Mississippi?
No.
It was a double-wide trailer that was a club, and it was run by there was a mental institution, and some of the people who worked there or were maybe patients, they ran the door. It was a very interesting place, and that was the first place we ever played Good, and that kind of was the DNA, became the DNA for the band.
So when you said it was supposed to be a lyric, was that just a melody placeholder?
Yeah. So I wrote the song that morning, and we had a show that night in Jackson, and I showed the song to the band. It was 4 chords. It's 4 chords, and the idea, I was listening to a lot of Pixies at the time, and it's no coincidence that the Pixies, their documentary is called Loud, Quiet, Loud, and it's all just about hitting a distortion pedal, the same chords, and that's how you do the dynamics. And so I played it. I was like, we need to play this tonight. So the wah-ah was supposed to, I didn't know what, it was going to be lyrics, and then people came up like, hey, man, I like that wah-ah song. And I was like, huh, and here I am 30 years later.
What do you think, in your mind, wah-ah was supposed to, obviously you don't know what was the intention of whatever that lyric was supposed to be?
When I've had to write it, I write it out, aha, kind of like remembering, like, aha, it was good living with you, aha.
Like a positive memory type.
Yeah, like just kind of remembrance. But, a lot of my songs that have done well have not, because of that song, have a lot of, the kind of something that's not a lyric, And I found early on when I've played later songs, when I played songs that don't have lyrics that toddlers like, if I can play a song for a toddler and they bounce their head up and down, I'm like, I'm cooking with gas. Yes, find me a toddler, play the track.
When you guys had Good, and did that feel different than?
Sorry, I just touched your foot underneath the table. I apologize.
I got news for you. That wasn't my foot.
Whoa!
Did it feel different with Good?
It did, man. There was just something about that song. I think most songwriters have that the first one that connects, where you finally, okay, what's my voice? Because at first the songs I was writing sounded like the Smiths and R.E.M. and were a lot softer. But then I got into Husker Du, and I had a summer as a camp counselor in North Carolina, and I discovered the Replacements. And it was just that hard-edged rock thing. And I started writing songs like that, a song called Circle of Friends, which was on that first cassette. It was later on the Empire Records soundtrack, if people remember that movie, that Liv Tyler movie. But so that was so Good, though, was the kind of distillation of like what was working live. And that kind of just, but the interesting about that song is that it was past, we played so many showcases, in these sterile rehearsal rooms in L.A. and New Orleans and stuff for label heads, and we'd be flown out to New York, and people would listen to it, and they go, I don't hear it, and they wouldn't sign us. 5 years later, those same label heads that passed on that song were telling their new artists, you need to write a song like Good. And we have friends in different bands who are like, man, you won't believe this, but,
You've mentioned R.E.M. like 5 times.
Oh, my gosh, right?
When I think of R.E.M., obviously Michael Stipe was just extremely dynamic anyway, yeah. But also regionally, like I think of Athens, Georgia, R.E.M., like that's kind of where that started for them, right?
Oh, yeah. There's I'm really feel fortunate and grateful that I was able to be in a band that toured that southeastern circuit of all the college towns, which had all these great college bars. And it goes back to R.E.M. and the B-52s and Driving and Crying and the Connells. But even before that, it goes to Sam and Dave and the Allman Brothers and Sam Cooke. It was this circuit of towns you played, and you had to be, you learn very, very quickly if you're going to be successful and asked back, you had to entertain people. And there were bands like R.E.M. and the Connells and a band called Dash Riprock. Do you remember Dash Riprock?
I don't.
They were a cowpunk band from New Orleans that just were so great live. And I was like, that's what I got to do. I can't sit up and be cool. I've got to entertain. And it has to be a hyperbole. You got to put it out there. You know that. And so it was a real great training ground. And there's not as many bands do that, because a lot of bands I write with a lot of young bands, and they're very confident, which you got to be. But there's no replacing getting out there and grinding it, rising and grinding. There you go.
I'm familiar
tipping
with
my
that.
hat to you.
Yeah.
There's no replacing, those things that happen on stage that you're not ready for, the rapport you get with your band members, how to write a set list, the ebb and flow. Here's the hit, and how do we string that together? And I was able to do that.
What about the dynamic within the group? Because you took some time off, and now you're back. And I guess when you took some time off, you never planned to be back. It feels like when you guys split up, it wasn't we're gone forever, but it doesn't seem like there was let's be sure to get back together.
Yeah, I think we just needed time then just to kind of process when you go through a tragedy and something traumatic like that for everybody. Gosh, our band, we're going to keep doing it until people are really like, man, they really need to stop.
At what point, though, did you guys decide you were going to do that, though? Like, all right, we're back. Like, because, again, you can get back in and put your toe in the water and see. But when were you like, we're going to recommit. We got to move back. We're going to make this record. You guys are coming out to L.A.
I think that when we played our first show, and I went from playing a Telecaster and a twin reverb amp, I went and got a Les Paul and a 4x12 cabinet with 25-watt greenbacks in it and a JCM 800 Marshall head, and I was like, I've got to be the guitarist. And I was able to do it. I had to step up my game and become a better guitarist. But when people reacted, we played Murphy's Bar and Grill, this seminal place in Murphy's, in Baton Rouge rather, but every band from the 90s and 80s would play, college bands. And the crowd reacted, and there was so much love. And we were like, man, we got to do this as a tribute to Joel, who had passed away. And so we knew that moment, and then we're just being friends. We needed the connection.
Jake Stark also was 21 years old when he was signed to his first record deal, who had a debut album that went platinum and another that went gold. How close is that?
Well, Jake, but Jake, I was 28 when we got signed. See?
Classic.
And Jake Stark was number 47 in People's 50 Most Beautiful People. I was never in People magazine.
You weren't?
I was never.
Here's what I thought when I read that. I thought,
wouldn't that be great?
I thought he was in People magazine's 50 Most Beautiful People. I never knew that about you.
But you know that I was in Playgirl. That Playgirl in 1996 had
an interview.
It was just
was your wiener in there?
I was not.
Okay,
it was not. So
because that's what Playgirl, sure.
It was.
Right.
It was.
But your wiener wasn't in Playgirl.
It was not wiener. No, It was the thing like the hot band alert,
and their wieners.
And I was there, and their wieners.
Did you ever open for REM?
We did not. But
Jake Stark did.
Jake Stark did. Jake Stark opened for Lionel Richie.
Tears for Fears, Oasis.
Yes, and he opened for REM at Royal Albert Hall, and that's where Sir Daniel Smith Daniels. Did you? No, I haven't listened to your audiobook. You read your book, right?
Yes. So I've got 2 adult books, not pornography books.
No wieners.
But I also have kid books. Kid book, yeah. No wieners.
No Playgirl.
Yeah.
You went there. Let's just say you went for wieners.
I did. And there was like, where is it? But I heard you did accents in yours.
I do. They're different musicians. One is Brit Kanuka. He's from Barbados. There's a guy named Shane Sawyer, and he talks like Sam Elliott. Brother, my ego is not my ego.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. See?
Yeah.
So I do that, and I had a blast doing it. I'm doing a girl named Dara Delaney from Montana. I'm doing...
You do a girl?
I do a girl, yeah.
Go.
No, you have to get the audio.
It's not that. It's that, anyone that has
I just
some
raised
sort of
my voice.
project.
I just raised my voice.
Go ahead.
Later. Now you put me on the spot. Brilliant, Bobby. Perhaps we should get some tea later.
That's better than I thought it would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jake, I can raise it. If you touch my leg, it gets higher.
I'm gonna
let it happen. Let it happen.
We should get back to Sam Elliott voice. Jake Stark, who his own recording career began to falter, started writing for Garth Brooks, The Chicks, and Madonna.
Yeah.
Now this makes a lot of sense to me. Not the falter part because I didn't see that, but Mike and I talked before you got here about the songs that you've written in the country space. So did he write some big Garth Brooks hits or what, Jake Stark?
Jake did.
Yeah.
I never did.
Yeah, I know you did it.
Yeah. Jake wrote some Garth Brooks songs, some Madonna songs. Yeah.
For in the country world here, Stuck Like Glue.
Stuck Like Glue.
Do you know the song that...
Which has, which is wah-uh. Yeah.
And I was going to get to that. There's a toddler, good toddler sound there.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Look, most songwriters, if you have an idea that a toddler laughs at or dances to, you're going to have a hit.
I did that song with them at a festival once, and they were like, hey, come do the rap part. And I was like, It was like 6 hours notice, maybe less than that.
Right.
And I was like, I know the song, but I don't really know the song.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know that I know all the rap part right. Because most of the time when you're just singing along with it, you just kind of do it and it sounds fun and you move on. I said, but I'm going to be critiqued. This is going to be recorded for, like, it was a television
posterity.
deal. Yeah, so I'm trying to remember every word of that rap part. And
which you didn't really need to. Your freestyle probably would have been better.
I forgot most of it once I got up there. And so that's what I did. And then I sounded like I was just trying to be Creole. It just wasn't good in any way whatsoever. But I remember doing that song going, I did not know this. When you guys wrote that song and you wrote that rap part, did you write it as part of the song then? Did it come about later?
So the interesting thing is, and just to the rap, to your point, when that rap, that was like controversial. There were stations that were cutting it out, doing their own edits. And then, of course, 5 years later, you're hearing, Nelly with FGL and stuff. So it's not, I guess they had to break the mold.
But also Jennifer was the one rapping. It wasn't like
Jennifer was, and she did get kind of a Creole. He had to come to the ATL.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like Miss Cleo's giving it. Yeah.
Very
like,
shaggy.
Call 1-900, then you call my number. I'm Miss Cleo, I am here, and we do it.
One time.
Yeah. So
that was a Fugees, a little one-time
You
Fugees
wrote that
reference.
in the same spot there?
So the way the song was written is it was 2010. I was writing with this guy named Shy Carter, who's had a lot of hits, and you may have worked with him. He's an artist as well. And we really didn't know what to write. And at the time, Hey Soul Sister was big for Train, and I'm Yours, Jason Mraz. So I started playing this guitar part, which is the song. And 2 hours later, we had nothing. Then we went to get some coffee, went down to Intelligentsia in Silver Lake, and we came back, and I started playing it again. And Shy went, yo, Kevin, I'm going to go out and get some herbal inspiration. So Shy went out and got stoned, and he came back in. He's like, man, put some auto-tune on my track. So I put auto-tune. Everybody knows what auto-tune is. It was the key of G, put it in, and he started humming 30 seconds. If you've ever written or worked with someone who smokes a lot of weed, you have a very small window to capture the juice. And it's amazing. It's like heaven sent genius. But if you don't hit record, you're going to lose it. But I hit record and he went da 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 da, and I was like, oh my God. And I had it recorded. We looped it, and that's us doing that's us doing that. So we wrote a verse and a chorus, and it never happens this way in the music business. It was a Thursday. Our old drummer was playing with Sugarland, Travis McNabb, and I called Travis. I was like, hey, man, give me Christian's phone number. And I called Christian. I was like, are you guys still working on your Sugarland album? He goes, yeah, dude, we're recording Tuesday, and we need a single. And I was like, I have your single. And I sent him Shy. I've got the demo version. I sent Shy. We sent him like a 45-second verse chorus of the song, sent it to them, and like, we're going to record this on Tuesday.
Not completed though yet.
Not completed. Yes. Yeah. So they wrote the second verse. And the rap, and we were off to the races.
And what'd you think of the rap when you heard it? And what'd you think of why they put it in, how they put it in?
I totally dug it, man. I always believe that those doing things that aren't expected or maybe considered the norm. Ultimately, history. You're on the right side of history. And it was a thing, people talked about it, and now it seems tame by comparison, right? When you hear production and stuff these days, but I was super grateful, to have them cut it.
Why write a book, and why write it with a fictional character saying nonfiction things?
Well, I started doing this. They say that nothing good happens in a bar after 2 a.m., especially in New Orleans during Mardi Gras. This one time, though, I'd ridden in the Hermes Parade, and I was having a jambalaya at F&M Patio Bar, uptown New Orleans. Have you ever been there?
No.
It's a crazy place. It gets going around 3 a.m. But I ran into this buddy who is an entrepreneur guy in Dallas, and he was with a group of friends. They were YPO guys. And YPO is Young Presidents Organization. It's kind of like a fraternity for very successful men and women. And so he goes, hey, man, Malcolm Gladwell just spoke for us here in New Orleans. You want to speak for us in Dallas in 3 years? 3 months. And I was like, yeah. And I finished my jambalaya, forgot about it. 2 months later, he's like, hey, so here's the date in Dallas. I had to think of something to speak about. And around about the same time, I was just working with younger artists and getting asked, like, hey, how have you stayed successful in this business that's notoriously fickle? And I realized, so there was that going on, but also I had to do a speech. And I thought of like these things that I've had to do. Like, wow, there actually are tools, these practices I've kind of put into my life that have allowed me to be successful. So I kind of codified them in a speech. That took off from doing YPOs to Live Nation, Which to Google, Nike, Disney. And about 4 years ago, I was like, I want to put it into a book. But I didn't want it to be something just really kind of boring. And I love, like I said earlier, I love reading and I love stories. And I've always liked business parables, things like Who Moved My Cheese, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the Celestine Prophecy, the Go-Giver, things like that. And I was like, what would excite me to write would be to write a story about a songwriter. And of course, there's liberal parts of my life. But look, I've never met a 28-year-old British billionaire, Sir Daniel Smith Daniels, and all the different songwriters and all the different crazy things that happened to him. If it ever happened to me. But, and that's really, and I wanted it to be something that, so many books, when like often like you'll be like scrolling online and it says, do these 5 things to live to 100, and you click on it. But then you start scrolling, and after about 10 minutes, you're looking at the Jenners. It's clickbait. I like things that actually, every once in a while, though, you click and it actually gives you those 5 things. And I wanted the book to be that. I wanted it to be short. I wanted people to read it and actually have like, oh, these are the 5 things. I can actually put handles on those ideas and take them home with me. And
who are you targeting? Like, who's your target audience?
I'm targeting people in business, people in careers, people who have been
not just music.
Not just music. And what I found, the reason the speech took off for people is that, oh, wow, what I realized before I did that first speech and why it continues. Like I was just speaking to 600 people for a GM conference last week in San Antonio. The week before that, I was in San Juan, Puerto Rico, talking to a Ship Bob, which is a big omni fulfillment company. What I realized is that, the same things I do in music to stay inspired and competitive and successful and connecting those dots from having a hit song and taking it to the right person is the same in every business. And the things I do to stay successful in business also have helped me in my relationships with my family and my wife and stuff. And but I realized that people love music. It's sexy, we know being in music, there's nothing sexy at all about it. Like, Jesus Christ, let's let the facade remain. And so music was like this great catalyst to get these ideas across that everybody can use. And that was really what and then being a songwriter, I realized, as you know, like when you have an idea to write a book, getting yourself up every day to write those 250 words or 500 words and committing to it was so hard. But because I'd been a songwriter and seen that something as silly as a song idea, like wah-ah, it was good, could turn into a song, an album, a hit, a life-changing thing, I knew that you just got to continue. I knew the idea for the book was good because the speech was successful. So I just knew I needed to write it. And then I got, the developmental editor helping me and learning, and being open to like, hey, I'm a babe in the woods. I don't know what I'm doing. It was really cool, and it's been a really great endeavor.
Are you killing it on the speaking circuit? Because you're mentioning a lot of places, and there's a big.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's been great. It's been
like that. I'm doing a car. I'll just in a couple months. I'm doing a car. We'll say car.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, you can move. That's fine. And it's a 6-figure speaking deal, and it's just those are just normally that much. But you're listening to all these.
Yeah.
I mean, is that how you're making most of your money now? Speaking,
bro. I am no. I do well on the speaking things. I don't have 6 figures, but I'm not. I don't have your reach and your.
Yeah, but you have
the star power.
No, that's not true at all. You have your star, but you're mentioning all these massive companies.
It's been really cool.
Yeah.
So I do about 7 a year, and it's all word of mouth. Like I'm represented by William Morris and CAA with 2 different music projects. Ezra's with William Morris, but this is fun. CAA does Ezra Ray Hart, the band I have with Mark McGrath and Emerson Hart, and that's been turned into its own thing. But what I found is part of the speaking agency of WME, William Morris, is Harry Walker, and I'm a speaker there with Malcolm Gladwell and all those other luminaries. Are you one of those guys?
No, not in that group.
But they don't give me anything. They've got me 1 gig. What it's really been about is word of mouth, playing shows, somebody reaching out and DMing me and stuff like that. are just people who have kind of segued into that business of booking, conferences and stuff. But it's so much fun. What I do is I go. The speech is like I play. It's the story of my life and the story arc of being signed, being dropped, reinventing myself, and the songs I play the hit songs throughout.
So you do a one-man show, basically.
It's a one-man show, and at the end of it, we write a song together. The last thing in the book and also in the speech is Dare to be Stupid, and the idea is that you'll never come up with anything truly groundbreaking unless you're prepared to fall on your face. So let's be stupid together. And I use the example of like J.T. Harding, who's one of the greatest, best songwriters in Nashville. He has no filter. The people who come up with crazy ideas and aren't afraid of looking silly are the ones that succeed. So then we write a song together, and a week later, everyone gets a fully produced demo with me and 30 people or 3,000 people.
What do you mean you write a song together? You're doing a speech?
Yeah.
They're just shouting things at you?
So, like, for example, going to San Antonio, I flew in from Salt Lake City, and I had an idea for a song. I was like, okay, the desert. Let's write a song called Desert Stars. So I come up with a verse and a chorus. And I kind of know the verse lyrics. Okay. And I get up there and I'm like, hey, guys, I know it's 10 a.m. in the morning, but we're going to write a song. Here's the idea. It's called Desert Stars. We're in the hill country of San Antonio. And here's a first verse and chorus. I think it's kind of dope. Let me know what you think. And I already have a beat on my Pro Tools. And I hit play, and the beat's playing. I sing along. I go, what do y'all think? Pretty good? And somebody might say tequila. I'm like, yes, Dare to be Stupid. And, we say tequila, and then we write the second verse together. And it's usually just 4 lines. And everybody on their table has Sharpies and pencils and papers. And there's always somebody, without fail, who comes up with this great line. And then we're off to the races, and someone's my secretary or a man or a woman. They write out the lyrics. Then I sing the song, and then everybody gets up. I have a microphone in front of the stage. All the guys get up. I'm like, I'm going to go, hey, ho. They do Haze and Hoes, and I'm like, what about like Desert Stars was? I was like, all the guys, under the desert stars, and they'll start doing under the desert, louder, Dare to be Stupid, louder. And then I'm like, yes, I've got you. Now give me some Haze and Hoes, and the girls come up, they go, woo, and then and then the guys will say, hey, senorita, and then I just a few days after I come back home, I put it in the song, Pro Tools, cut and paste, and they have a song. It's really fun.
Now, if one of those goes viral and then it exists, what's the split on the publishing?
So check this out. So we had a Jake Owens hold on a YPO, a song. I can't remember the name of it. It was me and about 42 people, songwriters. Yeah.
Is that what it was listed as?
Yeah, it really is.
That's funny.
I know, right?
Wow. So the book has a lot of your successful, famous people on it that are also standing and going, hey, this guy's good. We trust him. I look at it. Peyton Manning's on the cover.
Peyton, yeah.
I mean, I'm not really. I'm on this.
Well, you're in the biggest font. You were in 16-point font, and everybody else was. I knew you were going to do that.
You should have made me a fake. Should have made me a fake version.
I need a stunt copy.
Yeah. So do you know Peyton Manning?
I do know Peyton.
How do you know? Obviously, he's New Orleans.
New Orleans guy. So since there's 3 brothers. Everybody knows Cooper now, right? Cooper was always the funniest one, and he was like a great athlete, but then he got this kind of stenosis of the spine that kind of messed his arm up. Cooper was a big Ezra fan, and I think he turned Peyton and Eli onto the band. And man, they would come to all our Tipitina shows in New Orleans. But more fun, when we played Indianapolis, Peyton would come bring his whole offensive line. And every time we did this time of year, there's a football in the air, he would throw the football out. In New York City at Irving Plaza, Eli would get up. There was one awesome time where Peyton and Eli got on stage at Irving Plaza in New York and threw the football out. And we've just been tight with those guys. Like we did Red Rocks with Bare Naked Ladies last year, and Peyton got out and threw the ball.
That's awesome. They're like organic fans.
They know all the songs. They can sing along, and they're so good. But they're also, those guys. I mean, they also will screw with you. Mm-hmm. Like last time, right before I'm fired up, it's my first time to play Red Rocks, and Peyton's like, "Yo, Kevin, you sure you want to wear that shirt out on stage?" Giving me shit.
That was nice of him to take the front page of the book, though.
It was really good.
That guy doesn't have enough.
They paid me really well.
Yeah,
to put Peyton, because he's like, listen, we need a little boost to a sagging career. Could he be the guy on the front?
You mentioned, do you have allergies at all? I'm gonna take an allergy pill.
No, do it.
But that's what's up.
No, do it. Adderall is a slippery slope.
You know, I wish.
Bobby.
I have to take allergy medicine probably from now until August every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then I don't.
Sometimes I'll take like a Claritin or something.
They give me an EpiPen too. It's never been that bad.
So you got it bad.
It's never been. I've never had it to the point of having to use it. But for some reason, every time they're like, "Do you have your EpiPen just in case?" I'm like, "For what?"
Well, are you like allergic to hornets and yellow jackets?
Not that I know of. They did an allergy.
We could
test.
try to. We could just do a test.
I did that. Well, not with that. I don't want to do with that crap. We just get a whole bunch of hornets and yellow jackets.
Let's
Walk
just
in
do
there.
it.
Let's see how it
We can
feels.
find a yellow jacket's nest.
I did that test where they put a scratch your back with all the stuff.
They still do that.
I walked out. And they did like 27 things on me, and I walked out, and they were like, "Okay, you're allergic to." I don't remember. I should. It's like ragweed times 3, Chinese maple sauce. All these things I don't even know if they're here or not.
maple sauce.
And they're like, and you need an EpiPen just in
I partied
case.
with some Chinese maple sauce
Did
one
you?
time.
Yeah.
God, I was up for 3 days in Vegas.
Well, pardon my allergy pill there. Pardon me taking that.
All good, brother.
You mentioned Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah.
Why does Ed hate me?
Wait, what? You know, I've written like all the singles on their past 4 or 5 records with Ed. We had the best time. Ed Robertson would love Bobby Butt.
Ed Robertson wouldn't acknowledge anything that I would send him on social media. I would message him. I would write in his comments. Everything.
Should we just text him right now?
And I was like, because I am the biggest BNL fan.
They are such an amazing band, and I get to write the songs with Ed that I could never write with any other artist. You know, we a song called Duct Tape Heart, you know, writing about duct tape, our love of duct tape. But, you know, we just get to, you know, we get to write we have so much fun. He's one of the smartest, he's actually maddeningly talented. He'll kick your ass in cornhole. He's a pilot. He wrote, this is interesting. This is a cool kind of peek behind the curtain. The song that's been most successful for him is the Big Bang Thing. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'll let him repeat this because he's going to do the Bobby Cass because he's going to be miffed.
Apparently Ed hates me.
Dude, he is a fan, trust me.
He doesn't know yet, but okay.
No, he doesn't know. But he was like, he told me about writing the song. He goes, Kevin, it's a hit song every quarter. This song is a worldwide, you know, it's in syndication all over the world in 80 different languages, you know, and that song, it's nuts. The people who make the most in the songwriting business are the television writers, television composers. I was at this thing right before the pandemic. It was the BMI Songwriters Fest in Kauai. Have you ever done that? And I was there. I mean, Chris Christopherson was there, Willie Nelson. I had to sing Wah-Ah. I did good, a private show right in front of Chris Christopherson and Willie Nelson. But it was all these, like Miranda Lambert was there, Maren Morris. But the guy, Mike O'Neill from BMI, said, you know the most successful guy in this room? And I was like, no. He goes, right over there. I flew over here from LA on his G5, Mike Post, who wrote the theme from Taxi, Hill Street Blues, all Rockford Files. To this day, he writes, you know, hit theme songs and stuff. That's where the really stupid money is. That's like the biggest BMI and ASCAP writers really every year are always going to be Trent Reznor or, you know, all these big television and film writers.
Like Reznor for like the Facebook movie, Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Social Network.
I just saw what was it? The Blinding Light. It was a new Sam Mendes film that they did. Atticus and Trent did.
Were you a 9 Inch Nails guy?
It wasn't my thing.
Me either. Now that I'm past it and it's not as scary to me and as dark, and I kind of understand it for what it was now better in my rear view.
Yeah.
Then I appreciated it then because it was too much for me.
It was too much. It was too relentless. This was interesting. So when they were having their biggest success, like Closer and all those songs, they lived in New Orleans. Trent lived like 5 blocks from me. We both lived in the Garden District. And he had this converted funeral home on Magazine Street. It was called Hot Snake Studio that was converted into a studio.
It used to be a funeral home.
A
now they're doing
mortuary.
music. Wow, yeah, that is bizarre.
I went in there one night. I got invited. I was this friend, and we was like, let's go to Trent Reznor's party.
Was that partially for effect?
It was so dark, and Marilyn Manson was there, and I was like, you know what, man? To work this hard, to be this dark and scary, it just seems exhausting to me, and I'm just not that guy.
But do you think that whole buying the funeral home for a studio, like you could have bought any building,
right?
But do you think because that was his thing, or was it so much his real thing that was his thing?
I think he was. I think when you hear interviews, he was in a really dark place. I don't think he was living the healthiest life. I'll let him elaborate on that. But I did go to his house. I went to his house. I was going to move, and I went and looked at his house when it was on the market in the Garden District. John Goodman from Roseanne fame ended up buying that house.
Who's
I think they repainted it.
New Orleans guy. Like,
massive.
He is just
He's the
part
best.
of his brand.
He is married to Annabeth Goodman, who is a good friend, and she owns Pippin Lane, which is the coolest little children's store on Magazine Street.
You mentioned some of your songs a minute ago. Peyton Manning would come out. So that same song.
Yeah.
Time of year. I've told the story like 5 times, but you'd let people come out and play it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to come out. I was a kid, teenager. You said, come up. So I got on stage, and I took the guitar. I play left-handed. I don't play right-handed. And I didn't know how to play it. And you said, get off stage.
I said, I love you, but you have to go off the stage now. Yeah. With love.
You didn't, and
Did I scar you? Was this the moment?
Yeah, I know. I remember.
To...
It was my moment to get up with my favorite band, and I was like, I know the song. And
but
I get up
left-handed.
there, and there was no left-handed guitar.
Damn it to hell.
Yeah, I felt like somebody who didn't have.
But clearly, it didn't stop you. Maybe that was the moment. Maybe that public shaming was the thing that you needed. Every day it was like, I'll show Kevin Griffin.
I really was going to give it to you. It's going to be the best version you ever heard.
When your books came out and they were New York Times bestsellers, like, I'll show Kevin Griffin, that son of a bitch.
So Good is a big hit for you guys. How big did it get during that first single for Better Than Ezra? Did you get lost in it at all?
You know what? I think if I would have gotten lost if it had happened when I wrote it. It was 5 years old, like if I was 22 when it came out. But we had been I was 27, I think maybe about to turn 28, though we lied about our age. Like if you go on Facebook, it says I'm 2 years younger than I actually am. It says I'm 54, but I'm 56. I can say that now. It sounds pathetic, but at the time, I was like, I'm taking it. No, leave it. Yeah. But
so you wanted to be younger because you felt like...
Well, it's actually comical to think, but we weren't signed. We were 27, and bands younger than us were getting signed. We're like, we got to lie about our age. What is your age? And we said, 2 years younger. It sounds silly. But now my buddies, when it's my birthday, and, I have friends from college or whatever, live all over the country, maybe in Des Moines, it'll be a slow news day, and it says, today, people born. Jimmy Carter's on October 1st. Kevin Griffin from Better Than Ezra, 54 years old. My friends will just text me a screenshot. They're like, you're pathetic. I'm like, 54 years old. After Good. But Good, I didn't lose. Yeah, go. Sorry.
After it runs its course as a single and you're going to the next. What was the second single?
In the Blood.
Okay.
In the Blood, and it was shot by Frank Ockenfels, who's done some of the most iconic covers of Rolling Stone magazine. He's a photographer first, but did videos, and that was one of his first videos. The third single was Rosalia. This is how crazy how in the 90s how much money the labels were making. Most videos cost about $250,000, $300K, back then. Now you get a great video for like $5K. But they were $250,000, $300K with huge production. We shot the first video by a guy named Joseph Coltice, who did a lot of Nine Inch Nails covers. The label didn't like it. So they were like, no, we want another one. So we flew to L.A. Frank.
They paid for it?
Yeah, $250,000.
And they were just like, nah.
Yeah, we don't like it. But we paid for half of that. Yeah, so we were
like
paying for it.
Like recoupable
yeah,
money?
Yeah, it was recoupable. I mean, we were naive. So we fly to L.A., and the producer of the Rosalia, the second version 2, was like, so we want Frank wants this young actress to be, this was a girl named Rebecca. She was from New Zealand. As a new actress, she's in a new Robert Rodriguez film called Desperado. Her name is Selma Hayek. I think you'll find her quite suitable to be Rosalia. And I was like, great. So Rosalia, if you go online, Rosalia is played by Selma Hayek. But the best part about shooting the video, all the B-roll with Selma was shot apart from us. We did our live show, but we had the wrap party at the Ivy on Robertson. It's a little, it's a restaurant, kind of snooty, but they have amazing chopped salads. So we were all there. It was a wrap party, and everybody was drinking the Ivy gimlets, which were super strong. And at the end of the dinner, it's like 14 of us. Everyone's having a great time getting their drink on. Selma goes like, does anybody want to go salsa dancing? And nobody said anything. And I was like, I do. So Selma Hayek and I got in her car and we went to East LA and she taught me how to salsa dance. And we kind of had fun and hung out for a couple of weeks and she was super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What happened to the first video though?
Oh, so the first video,
Do you have it?
I have no idea. And so we were $550,000 in, and the Selma Hayek video, I think, got played 13 times on MTV.
Well, when you
so $500,000.
And where's the first? Like, could you? I mean, if you had to,
I don't even.
Would it be in like an archive at the label?
You know, maybe, probably is the Joseph Coltice. It was super dark.
That would be really cool. Be cool to release.
I mean, like our like the Desperately Wanting video off of the Friction Baby album. That was done by Nigel Dick, who did What's the Story, Morning Glory, and Wonderwall. I mean, we did some cool videos. I mean, we always aspired to be Radiohead or something like that, who always did cool videos, but we weren't that lucky. Some of our videos were silly.
When Good crushes, and that's on pop radio, and then even Rosalia, I would hear that more on rock radio, or alternate, I should say, because they were definitely split. More alt. I'd hear that on alternate, like The Edge in Dallas, and it wasn't until probably Desperately Wanting that I feel like, again, I started to hear it back on pop radio again.
You know who was big for us was 99X in Atlanta, Leslie Fram. She was on
the morning show there. Yeah.
And they really broke
Jimmy,
was it Barnes?
Dave, Jim,
Barnes, is that?
They were like morning show forever. They're back doing it now.
They're back doing it. I think I'm doing it next week.
Really?
I think I'm going to do it at 8 a.m. Desperately Wanting, you looking back, the first single from the Friction Baby album was King of New Orleans. In hindsight, it should have been Desperately Wanting. That was the song that reacted. And I think the Friction Baby album would have done as many copies as Deluxe, but as it was, it went platinum barely. It was Desperately just kind of just resonated with people.
Yeah, that one felt to me like a fun dark, if that's possible. It was
the 90s. Yeah. In the 90s, you had a lot of times I'll be playing. Now, we'll do like a corporate event, or now, the band's been around long enough to where we'll do privates, and it's for somebody's 50th birthday party, right? And we're playing songs, and it gets to Desperately Wanting, and it's like, when they pumped out your guts, filled you full of those pills. Everybody, party!
But it's still such a strong build-up. I remember running through the wet grass, fall. And it was like fun dark.
It was fun dark.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, though, you were encouraged. You just wrote heavy lyrics. It needed to have meat, and it had to be something. And so many of those early songs for me were really were heavy. But some of my favorite songs, like when you pull back the layers, like of some big pop songs, they kind of have dark lyrics.
Extraordinary, a bit different though.
Yes,
that one felt completely different. I played that. I was just doing pop radio at the time, like on the radio. I played that one. That was the Orange. I'm just trying to think.
That was the Closer record.
Yeah, and was that like orange? Something.
It was kind of yellow, then
I'm colorblind, severely colorblind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was orangish, right?
Orangish.
Throw me a bone. Throw me a bone here. Okay, good. Thank you.
It's orange. Yes,
thank you. But that song was up.
I'm gonna make fun of your colorblindness and the fact that you're left-handed, and I sent you back into the audience. I've got to make that up to you.
Well, you kind of did. You played our big charity show.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But you let me perform for the first time on the Ryman stage. I've never performed on there before.
Really?
Or after.
Well, you're welcome. See what I do for you on a stage? You see what you did for me on a stage?
You know what?
Exactly the opposite.
This is going to be some kind of
crap.
Why don't at Pilgrimage Festival you get on stage with the left-handed? See, my wife works for Gibson. Now we're going to get you a great. No. See, this is it.
I'm not going to ruin a great song.
No.
This
is about you, Bob.
Unless you turn me off. And you just let me fake it,
dude.
Because
you're good.
No, I'm okay. But there are so many people there that want to see you guys do that song, because that's a cult song. It's one of my favorite songs from you guys, and it was never a single.
That song.
Yeah,
people love that song. I wish it had been a single. I wish we'd recorded it better. That whole album was Ezra's biggest album. It always will be. It was recorded on 1/2-inch analog tape, not even like professional grade. And when you A/B it next to some other music, it's sound, you can tell sonically it's not there. But I wish that song this time of year would have been a single. But this time of year, you're on stage. If you're in town, let's keep it
I do
loose.
want to talk about Pilgrimage, because we can use this also for what we always do every year with Pilgrimage. We can talk about it here, and I can take it and place it on the radio show as
Piggyback.
well. So what do we got here? We got about 7-8 minutes. So let's, first of all, to conclude about the book, it is
Yes.
not just a songwriter's book.
No.
It is a book generally about, I'm not even going to say success, because my second book, Fail Until You Don't, is not about success. It's about, hopefully the end product is some sort of success,
Yeah.
but it's about what it takes and a lot of the things that you have to take in order to get there. And it feels like this book is kind of that too, where you kind of give freedom to experiment, to fall, be foolish, because it takes you trying things to be able to actually find them.
Exactly.
And trying them sometimes can result in things that are embarrassing or.
What I found is that everything, I always thought the way I was in business and success and the way I was in my family and were different. And I realized at some point it's all connected. And if I conduct myself the way I should and creatively in songwriting and business and use those tools like listening and contrary action and checking my ego in my personal life, everything gets amazing, and I'm so much more successful. And that's what this book is about, that is all connected. And that was the big aha moment for me.
Okay, so everybody get the book. It's called The Greatest Song, Spark Creativity, Ignite Your Career, and Transform Your Life. We talked about it before Kevin got here, but there it is again. Now from that, we got a few minutes to talk about Pilgrimage Festival. You guys hit a home run with the Zach Bryan booking.
Dude.
Is that one of those where you're like, we knew he was going to be awesome, but we didn't know he was going to be this big?
We had no idea. I mean, the Zach Bryan phenomenon is cray. And as a producer, you're always hoping you get that booking before they get big. Look, the first year Pilgrimage, 2015, the third act on the stage, on our second stage, was Chris Stapleton. And then fast forward 6 years later, we're paying him a lot more money to headline. You always want to do that. Last year we had John Batiste before all the Grammy nominations, but Zach is a whole next level, and it's a phenomenon. And when we were able to lock him down, we were very excited.
The Lumineers, who are so great live.
They're insane live.
So when you book that far out, Zach Bryan feels like, because I assume you have to book this a year in advance, right?
Yeah.
Close?
Yeah.
I mean, Zach Bryan feels like a little riskier than the Lumineers because the Zach Bryan monster that it is now, although it was growing and it was eating, it wasn't as big. So I felt like that was a little bit of a gamble.
Zach kind of happened. We're one of the now every festival is getting him to headline, but us and Railbird were the first festivals that were like, this guy is a headline. It's a headline artist, and we could already. We already had our ear to the ground, and we were already starting to see the phenomenon and what he was doing on his own shows at Red Rock and stuff. But still, it was a leap. But it's a great group of people, and we had a few people like, trust me, this is a great get for this festival. It's going to be huge, and he's such a cool dude as well.
We had a deal when I was in Austin, and we had to book this show. We were doing something called a Second Chance Prom, which back in the day was cool, but now everybody's done it 100 times. But we had $10,000 to book an artist, right? And so we booked this new artist who had a single who had just come out, and we spent all $10,000 on her. And she was a little eccentric, but I felt pretty good that she would at least have some success 6 months later whenever the show happened. It was Lady Gaga.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And by the time she came to play this venue that we had reserved for 800 people, she was so freaking big that there were more people outside trying to get in than there were inside the place.
That's amazing.
It's lightning in a bottle.
And remember that I was in this weekend. I was with my wife in Mexico City. It was her birthday. Went for the first time, and we heard the first Lady Gaga single. Remember that song? You remember what it was?
Just Dance?
Just Dance.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's such a good song. I hadn't heard it. I was like, oh, my God. I remember I was living in L.A. at Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf when I heard this song the first time. I was like, this is a good song.
Another act that you have that I love, there's so many acts. This is like festival for me. Like, I love the Black Crowes. I had them come play my show.
I've never seen them live.
They're great. They're still great. And they have so many songs, right? That's what it is. It's about the songs. But the Head and the Heart, like, that's where it is for me. That's what I listen to when it's like, what do you listen to for fun? The Head and the Heart.
Head and the Heart is a band. I love that first record. they've gotten better and better every album. And this new album, now they're kind of writing with Justin Tranter, and I think Ashley Gorley may have written one of the big songs on this new album. They're just getting smarter and better. They're selling out bigger places. They did a Sins amphitheater last year, sold it out. I've kind of gotten to be friends with their manager, a guy named Matt Shea, who also manages Charlie Worsham, a great guy. And so just kind of starting to know the dynamics of that band. I'm so fired up to have them on.
Haley Witters, who I love, is playing the festival.
That was one of the artists that was like, we have to get Haley Witters. You know, I think she feels just kind of a countryer Casey Musgraves to me. You know, authentic isn't the right word because Casey's super authentic. She's a badass. But there's something about Haley that she's got a little bit of Casey, but her own thing too.
This festival has really grown, and I feel like now it has a cleat in the ground.
Yeah.
Where anytime you launch any sort of festival, any sort of series of shows, it's just like year one, it's a risk. We're going to lose money. Year two, you know, it's that. But I feel like now you guys have something where people expect it and they expect it to be good.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same?
I do feel the same. You know, everything we thought wasn't going to be true that more experienced people told us turned out to be true. They're like, you're gonna lose your ass year one. You're going to lose your ass year two. We're like, yeah. We're going to do fine. And then you lose your ass. Or one guy from who does ACL and Lala in Chicago, he was like, what is the minimum amount of tickets you think you'll sell first year? And we're like, 12,000. He said, you'll sell 6,000 tickets. And he was right, you know. But we made it through. And, you know, year three, we had Justin Timberlake, and that was a big game changer. And then the next year, we get rained out, you know. And then we didn't realize that when you rain out, people might love your festival, but the next year they're going to be like, I'm going to take a break. You know, we had Foo Fighters and the Killers that year, you know, but a lot of people didn't come because they'd been told to go home when the sky was blue. Of course, an hour later was, you know, deluge and 69 lightning strikes on the property. But now, though, it does feel like we're kind of just hit our stride. We know what we're doing. We've got it so tweaked and so dialed in, you know, from just the GA experience to the VIP. It's just a blast to do. And it's just turned into a thing, you know. And when I go, like, man, I never knew doing this that I was going to be on a first name basis with the mayor of Franklin and all the aldermen and having mint tea and cucumber sandwiches with aldermen and stuff. But it's really been cool. And I have to do all that stuff. It's kind of being the face of the festival, but I kind of really get into it. And it also has a purpose. You know, we support like 5 or 6 different charities in Franklin. 50 cents of every ticket goes to Music Cares. Actually, now it's Gibson Gives, but yeah, so it's cool.
Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival back in Franklin, September 23rd and 24th. Get your tickets at pilgrimagefestival.com. You got the book, you're still on the road, you're speaking, you got Pilgrimage Festival. I mean...
You know what I'm trying to do?
What? What are you trying to do?
Be Bobby Bones.
You don't want to do that.
I want to be an older, more haggard Bobby Bones.
You don't want to be that at all.
I want to be a more world-weary, jaded Bobby Bones.
And you're going to let Ed know that he doesn't hate me.
Dude...
We should make Ed a video. Record me.
This is gonna be.
Record me. I'm gonna make a video for Ed.
Great. This is gonna be so good.
All right, ready?
Anyway.
Ed, hello, it's Bobby Bones. You probably have no idea. I'm sitting here with Kevin, longtime friends. I mean, he admires me so much. It's just weird how much he admires me.
I love him.
Yes, thank you.
Ed, listen to this man.
And so I've been trying to get a hold of you for like basically years. I'd write comments on your Instagram. I'd send you DMs. I'd tweet. And I just felt very ignored. And I was doing an interview about songwriting on my wildly popular podcast. It's millions and millions a month. And I was like, why does Ed hate me? And Kevin gave me 5 reasons why you hated me. But I just wanted to say, please don't anymore. Would love to meet you in person. And I love BNL for life. That's what I am. All right, see you, buddy.
I'm listening.
Yeah, let me know what he says. Look,
he's going to say no fucking way.
We're wrapping up. Go to all that stuff. The book, which we talked about at the beginning, we'll put in the notes. Pilgrimage Festival, we'll put in the notes too. And I just admire you for real,
dude. Let me say, in all honesty, you've been so kind always from the get go. And watching your career and all the hustle you do, it's just badass, man. And you're a homeboy. You're an Arkansas guy. I'm a Monroe guy. You know, we used to listen to KTVE, Channel 10. Were you Peckham Bluff, Arkansas? Did you ever do that?
Yeah, no. I knew it, but yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You get my point.
Yes, I do. Okay. We had the same. We were experiencing the same things.
We
were looking at the same star, having the same dreams.
Same stars.
That's right. All right, there he is. Kevin Griffin. Kevin, thanks, buddy.
Brother, thank you.